chess friends. I just wanted to let you know that tonight we'd like to talk about 7 essential strategies, and maybe it's a day for you. Nevertheless, 7 essential strategies for beginners to take charge of the chessboard and develop a winning vision. So let's look at item number 1. The first item is to take central control. You want to control the middle of the board. It's these spaces right here in the middle. Those are the most important spaces you can get. And if you can just have, you can have vision into, you can see into those. So let's just go forward a few moves into this game here. So it's, king's pawn forward, getting the knights out. My opponent got his bishop out early. I went ahead and put this pawn up so that I could protect that square from him coming down. I didn't want to see him come there unless I just had to. And so we're fighting for central control. And it's it's allowing better attacking and defensive moves. If you have central control, then when you want to do something across the board 1,000,000 miles away, you can do it because you have something looking across the central part of the board. So I move this up here, getting ready to put my pawn. Again, I don't want this naughty bishop to come down here and cause me trouble when I make my next move. And so the queen comes down to double. He's going for scholar's mate. Wow, that meanie. But he's really protecting. Look how much protection he has for the central of the board, and really more. The queen, of course, is has so many ways to go. But there's control of the center, control of many parts of the board with his. So those two pieces, he has a lot. And so I'm going to put my knight there. I just shouldn't do that. Shoot. I didn't want to make a move. I wanted to see what the actual move was. There we go. It was my knight up. All right, so that's the knight up. And then he moves his pawn up. I'm not sure why he did that. That didn't make a lot of sense based on what he was trying to do. And then I moved my bishop up, which is part of my opening moves and gaining control of the center as well. So the next thing that you want to do as you, master the game and figure out your strategy and get how you're going to think about it and what you're going to do that we want to talk about is pins and forks. And you want to be on the lookout for pins and forks because you can find them, but can you take advantage of them? It's an art. It's looking for a way to trick your opponent or put something in front of your opponent that they can't see. It's a tactic that can open you up to be able to take free pieces and, of course, checkmate your opponent or lead your opponent to resigning. Let's just take a few moves. So this is just a very straightforward threat to my bishop. So I have to move my bishop away. I move my bishop where my rook can see it and take care of it nicely and make it happy. And so then advances this pawn forward. I'm not sure exactly. Well, that's a good thing. Come down here and attack and cause trouble. He could go here, and then I could go there, and that would expose my my bishop. There's trouble he could cause by coming there. So I move here to further develop this bishop. I want to get this bishop out and see what I can do with it. And he puts his knight out, which is great. You want to get all your pieces out. Again, you're controlling the center of the board. Who has more control over the center board? What can you do over that? But also look for pins and forks. And similar tactics. All right, so that's kind of a little problem here for my opponent. My knight is protecting my bishop, and the bishop is threatening the queen and also threatening the knight. So even if he moves his queen, which I hope he does, then I can take the knight if I want. He did not move his queen. So this is set on level 2 at Lee Chess, Stockfish, and level 3. It's way harder than level 2. So I use level 2 for this demo. All right, so that is, of course, I take the queen, and then he takes a pawn. So I can either take here or take here, because, apparently he lost his mind when I went and, threatened his queen like that. So we just have to keep going and see. So I took his bishop. I should have taken his knight because that was kind of a freebie, but I don't know what happened next. Let's see. Well, he takes my bishop. So really, I took his bishop. He took that bishop. So I guess I had a choice. But nevertheless, I think I should have taken his knight, to be honest. So then I castle, and that's just a wonderful thing to do to protect your king and get your rook into the game. And so my rook and my queens, can all see each other, and those are pieces, of course, that control what I call corridors of the chess game. So he puts his bishop here to threaten my bishop. Not really a fork or anything like that, but I'll go ahead and take his bishop. He does not take my bishop. He should have. So I have an option to let my bishop escape or take something. If I take that pawn, that doesn't make much sense because it would just lose my bishop for the pawn in 1 point piece versus a 3-point piece. So let's see what I do. I will go ahead and take his knight. So he did take my bishop. And so we'll see what I do next. But the next strategy that you want to master is discovering attacks. If you can get your opponent to be behind the piece and you move that piece and your opponent is attacked because you move that piece, you can attack multiple pieces at once, and it puts a lot of pressure on your component. Puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, and the more pressure you put on your opponent, the more mistakes your opponent is likely to make. And that's what you want. You want your opponent to be making mistakes. You don't want to be making mistakes. So I take his knight. He takes... I take, and then he castles, which he should have done. So I get my pawn up, threatening his pawn. He passes. So I could take, if I take and then he takes, then he can take my rook. I really don't care because I can take his rook here, and I'm ahead already. So being ahead, I'm okay with that trade. But instead of doing that, I went ahead and went forward because that would have been a discovered attack on my piece. And who knows? He might have found a way to make that unpleasant for me. Not sure. So he moves his rook over, possibly getting ready to do something here. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. Maybe he's just trying to suffer along because I have so many more pieces than he does. So I move my queen up to get my queen more into the game. It occurs to me that I could probably get a checkmate over here, or at least cause a lot of trouble for his king. So the next strategy that we want to look at for mastering the board, for beginners, intermediates, whatever, I'm a little bit better than a beginner. I keep making silly mistakes. But one of the things you want to do is overload your opponent. You want to attack your opponent several different places at the same time so that your opponent doesn't know what to do. So your opponent has 3 or 4 things that are causing trouble, not sure what to protect, what to allow, what trades to go. If you can have 2 or 3 different things going on at the same time, your opponent is likely to make a mistake, and you can have in your head what you want to do next anyway. So let's go forward a few ways here. So he moves back there. It's a wasted move. I get my knight out, and then he moves back here, possibly getting ready for, moving down here and that where he could take that. I'm not sure. So then I move my queen down because I have a view of going here and then here. Now, ideally, he wouldn't allow me to do that. He would move his pawn up or get his rook out to look over here and say, no, you can't do that. But he didn't do that. So he went back over there. I guess he's panicking. So I go here with my queen, and then he moves there, not sure why. And so I go here and put his king in check. Now, that may not have been the absolute best move. Maybe I should have got my rook out here, and he would take, and then I would have more view here, and I could make it quicker. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I did. He moved out of the way, and then I put him in check here. And when he moved out of the way, I could have taken one of his rooks. I would have still been way ahead. But I didn't do that. I went ahead and took a pawn, just take some free stuff, see what you can do, and go from there. So he moves his king out of the way, which he shouldn't have done, because it allows me to take that pawn. So that pawn puts him in check. He moves there, which is fine, and then I go here and put him in check. And now this is a pin. So I put him in check, and I'm threatening his king and his rook at the same time. So the knight moves, of course, this way. I probably should have drawn it that way. So now he has to move his king out of the way and lose his rook. Isn't that fantastic? That's nice. All right. So then the next thing that you want to do is you want to be able to keep an eye on your king. Now my king is very safe. It's protected by these pieces. Now there is, of course, an avenue here that someone could come in and cause trouble, but not these pieces. These pieces can't move on a diagonal. They can't do that. They can only move, of course, with corridors, which are very powerful, but not for this situation. Now, if this pawn was out of the way, and the rook came over here, it could pin my queen against my king and win my queen. So anyway, we left our opponent in dire straits, and his king is in terrible trouble. So he has to move out of the way. I take his rook. He doesn't take my knight, which he should have done. So this is he's just lost his mind, and I feel sorry for him, sort of, except I certainly want to win. Then he moves a pawn down, which he should have been trying to advance his pawns. I just take it. And then he threatens a weak pawn. I could have just left it. It really wouldn't matter. But I didn't want him down here having any kind of fun. So I moved my rook over to keep an eye on my king. I don't want anything threatening my king, even though I'm way ahead. And I'm just not likely to lose. Now, I didn't notice. I could have just taken his rook. And maybe I'd do that in a minute. I'm not sure. Because I kind of had monofocus. I was thinking of moving this pawn up and getting another queen maybe while I protected everything, or moving this pawn up and getting my rook into the game. I'm not sure what I chose to do. So he moved out of the way, and I probably belatedly realized, oh man, I should have taken this rook. So that's another thing. Keep your eye on what you're doing as well. All these strategies, but keep your eye on what you're doing, what your opportunities, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Always keep that. Checks, captures, threats, all those things keep in mind. Just ask yourself those little questions as you can, and which is hard in a 10-minute game, I know. This is, all right, so the next thing, I start moving this pawn up. I'm just going to get some rows open to do stuff. He's threatening my knight, which is fine. So I get my knight out of the way and protected. Why not? Really wouldn't matter. I could have, done something different. So then I go through a few pieces, putting him in check to see if maybe I could get him to go down where I could take his rook. So I got on the brown because if the king is on the brown and the rook is on the brown, and the king goes somewhere where you can actually threaten the king and be on a diagonal. Like if I was setting here and his king was setting there, and I put my queen there, then I would be able to put him in check and take his rooks. But he was smart enough not to do that. So he went there, and I just decided, well, forget that, and I'm just going to bring my pawn up. So that's. So what's the next strategy? This is keep an eye on your king, make sure. So the next strategy that you need to do is to beware of a back rank checkmate. So we're in his back ranks. We're in the most sacred place of the opponent. His back here on the back ranks, and we are back there just having a good time. Nothing he can do, and yet there's no one coming in to trouble our back ranks, which is what we want. So then I go to here, put him in check, and then I keep moving around. I could have put him in check probably some different ways, and other things I could have done. One thing, a king can never trouble a queen. A king can't move into check, and there's no place around a queen that a king can move into. Isn't that something? But the queen can put herself in dire danger. She moved herself by the king and wasn't protected. Well, curtains. So then the last strategy that you want to have for beginners, and I guess intermediates and anybody, is really checkmate however you can. Sometimes you checkmate with a pawn. Sometimes with any other piece. Or sometimes I saw an incredible game where somebody got their pawn here, and the opponent's king was here, and the queen was there, and instead of getting a queen, like you would have imagined, they got a knight, and the knight put the king in check, and threaten the queen at the same time, which was just incredible. So that was a really great game. I loved watching that game. But at any rate, so here we go with the last strategy, checkmate however you can. So the king is still running around, and so finally I get to where I can put this pawn up and get something interesting. He moves his rook here. He really wanted to move it here so he can go here and protect his king one last time. The wonderful rook one last time to help his king. Couldn't do it. And I mean, he could have moved his rook here and threatened my queen. I would have had to do something. Not sure what I'd done. I might have just gone and taken the the rook and been done with it because I'm going to get a rook here. I'm not sure. At any rate, I did there, and it is finally checkmate. So those are the 7 strategies that you want to have in mind. That's what you want to be looking at. You want to be able to think of these strategies in your mind. Essential strategies for beginners, intermediates alike, that you can take charge of the board. So let's just review them quickly. Center control, look at your center of your board, make sure that you've got control of that. Then you want to be able to do pins and forks, where you can pin and fork your opponent. And you want to be able to have discovering attacks, where you can have something hidden behind something else, like have a rook on the other side of a knight, and so your rook is protected by something, and then you're able to if your rook is protected there, then you're able to put the knight on the other side and do fun things. And then the next one is overloading. If you can overload your opponent, have your queen threatening 2 or 3 things, and a bishop threatening something, and a knight threatening something on the other side, your opponent just isn't sure what to do. And overloading can really have incredible impact on your opponent, the kind of impact you want to make them make errors. My opponent made errors. Next one is keep an eye on your king. Just keep an eye on it. I can't tell you the number of times I've lost recently because I wasn't watching my king. I thought, well, my king's going to be safe. I had something going over 1,000 miles away over here somewhere. I don't know. And so all of a sudden the queen was here, and there was a knight here, and I don't know, a bishop here. I don't know what all was on there, but it was so bad that obviously I lost the game pretty quick. I mean, the queen went there, I think, whatever. But so keep an eye on the back rank. Don't let it get out of hand just because you're having fun in another part of the sandbox. So then the next one is to back rank checkmate, either on your own against your opponent, or just make sure that doesn't happen to you. Make sure this stuff doesn't get in the back rank and start having a heyday. Because if you get your rooks on this row here, you can do all kinds of stuff, much less go on the next row and cause checkmate for your opponent, which is what you're looking for. And then finally, checkmate however you can. In this case, I used a pawn, right? I got a pawn back turned into a queen. I had a queen here, got a queen there, boom, checkmate. Really nothing my opponent could do. So was my opponent checkmated by a pawn? Basically, that's what happened. So, thank you for watching. I'm excited about your support. This channel couldn't exist without you, and it's existing quite well. You are helping this happen. What an amazing thing it is. So, let me know what you would like to see more. This is from one of the suggestions I had, and I'll take any suggestions. What would serve you best? That's what I want to do. And so you just tell me what you're looking for, and we'll see if we can make that happen. And I want chess to be fun and enjoyable. I want you to be able to achieve your goals in a nice, incredible manner. I just want things to go well. And so that's my intention. And so have a great day, and I am sure sometime soon I'll check you later.